come onto the campus. So this morning we'll spend some time talking about what is communication. I'm sure most of you would know what it is. So we will move on to talk about how to communicate effectively in order to achieve success in our individual lives. I know that all of us do communicate, but then, there could be some misconceptions about the whole idea of communication. So I also would want this to be a kind of interactive session. So I expect you, whenever I ask you, to unmute and respond back. So that way we would make it interesting. Okay. So before we begin, we'll do a little kind of, I've titled let me share the screen first.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So I've titled my session, that's why, communicating to success. We may be communicating in various ways, but then it is also imperative for every one of us to learn to communicate in order to be successful. So that is the focus of my session this morning. Let me see. So before we go on to do that, a little kind of icebreaker or exercise for you. Okay. What do you think is the phrase or the word? A phrase. Can somebody guess? I wish we were in a physical class, so I would have at least given you some chocolates. But now we are on a virtual mode. So hopefully someday we would meet. Yeah. Any guesses? What is this expression?
I stand.
Can you improve on it? You are close. No, you are just reading from what is there, but something is hidden. So can you just find that? It's just for fun. It's not a serious learning, but fun with words.
I understand.
That's correct. Who is that?
Riya,
Riya.
sir.
Yeah, that's great. I understand. I is understand. That's how it is placed. Okay, I'm sure the following ones you would be able to guess quickly now.
Custom.
Yeah, that everybody can read, right? I'm not asking you to read what is on the slide. I want you to see what expression would come out of it from the way the word is, positioned there, like the way we did under and below that I. So we said, I understand. A similar one here, but not, the word is now placed, in two parts. So what do you think is this? There is no right, wrong. Please go ahead and talk. I said this is a kind of icebreaker, so I want everybody to jump in.
Because tomorrow, that doesn't seem like it makes sense to me.
I'm sorry, you're not very audible.
Because tomorrow, so like because tomorrow.
Okay. No, this is a play around with the word custom.
Tom Cruise.
No. Though it's a, thank you for guessing. It's just breaking a custom. You break a custom. Custom is broken here. That's it. As simple as that. Just think, it is nothing to do with academic serious things, but then some fun.
The word got divided, sir.
Yeah, that's why it's breaking a custom.
Yeah.
What do you think is this expression? It's a kind of riddle, so you will have to apply your mind, think. What are these? What would you say? This Y and Y? Why absolute silence?
Why, guy?
These are two Ys, two
Two
wise
wise,
guys.
two guys.
So is it wise guys?
Yes, two wise guys. That's right.
Oh, sir, I understood in another way, sir.
Okay, what way is that?
I understood that there are two wise and two guys.
Two wise guys, W-I-S-E, wise guys.
Yeah.
This should be simple.
Two takes.
Sorry?
Two takes.
It doesn't work that way every part there. There is an expression when you put them together.
Double take.
Double take. That's right. Who said that? Good. What could be this? You may be familiar with the variation of this combination.
Sir, RIP?
Yeah, RIP. So what is it here? RPI. It's a
Error.
grave error. It has to do with grave, RIP, right? So it's a grave error. Just to make you think. This should be simple.
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand, Ria. That's right. Absolutely right.
Policy.
Oh,
Policy.
what policy?
Divide and rule.
I'm sorry?
Divide and rule.
No, policy is right, but there is before that there is a word. Though the pronunciation is slightly different, but you can guess. It's just fun.
Foreign policy.
Foreign policy, that's right. Though it is four, but then some people pronounce it that way. So foreign policy. One
Okay,
more,
it is
I'll stop
foreign
with this.
policy.
What is this? We'll stop with this.
Chaw.
Sir, is it something related to in charge?
Yes, that's right.
Who is
Yeah.
in charge?
Who
Even
is in charge? That's right. Absolutely right. Who is in between in the word charge? So you say who is in charge?
Sir, even
Right?
I also taught the same word, sir, in charge.
Okay, great. All of you, it's not difficult if you, think you may be able to find all this quickly.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to go beyond that. When there is time, we will come back. Now, tell me before we even see what is communication. Let me stop sharing for a moment and then I'll come back. What do you think is communication? We are talking about communicating to success. And what do you think is communication?
So sharing of information,
Sharing
thoughts,
of information
and
okay.
ideas from one person to another person or a group
Okay.
of people,
Okay, sharing of information from one to many.
which includes a sender and a receiver.
Okay, sender and receiver. Okay, fine. Anything else?
So sharing of information or idea between a sender and a receiver in such a way that the receiver understands the information.
Okay. Yeah, that's almost same thing what Arun said. Was it Arun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Which involves a feedback from the receiver to the sender.
Okay, I think all of you studied theory of communication. So you are talking about receiver, sender, feedback. These are fine. Anything else?
Interaction in common language.
Interaction in a common language. Okay. What do we mean by common language? And somebody also writes involves interaction. That's fine. Okay.
The language of the speaker and the language of the listener should be same. That is.
Okay. Okay, all these are fine. Let me go back and share, and then we will talk. Okay, I just want you to look at these definitions, and some of them I put in a different color and underline just to emphasize. So once you read, we will talk about it. Okay. I have deliberately chosen 3 different definitions of communication to show what we should understand from this word communication, and then it becomes easier for us to communicate successfully. Yeah, some of you said it's an interaction, it is sharing of ideas and so on. And now look at the first definition, and I have underlined any behavior. What does that mean? It says any behavior that results in an exchange of meaning. Yeah, can we quickly see whether we understood this? So can you just rephrase it and tell me what does that mean? Because communication is defined as any behavior that results in an exchange of meaning.
Sir, any behavior should not only be in words, it can be through your hands, or you can even communicate through your expressions.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yes, any behavior, it doesn't mean through words. Not spoken, not written, but sometimes any behavior that results in an exchange of meaning. What does that mean? For example, suppose I am on this virtual call and I am talking to you, and suddenly I stop talking to you, and I maintain silence for a couple of minutes. Do you understand something? Of course, in the context, you would make different meanings. I don't say anything. I just sit. I just stare at the camera. I just, I'm still. If I'm like this, do I convey something to you? I'm just using an example.
No, sir, you don't.
I don't? Okay. Any other opinion?
Yes, you can. I mean, if you are screen sharing something and you're presenting something, you are still communicating with us, right?
Okay. No, if I don't speak anything and I just keep staring at you or at the camera.
Probably
You
you're
can say
angry.
you're nervous.
Yeah, somebody said probably.
You're angry at us.
I am angry. Yes, that's why I said depending on the context. Suppose you did something and so which I didn't like, so I want to, show my displeasure. So I may just stand doing nothing. It could be even in a physical class. I walk in and I don't look at any of you. I don't say anything. I just stand still. Still I communicate, right? Or if you think that I am unwell, maybe you think I'm unwell, I'm trying to catch breath. So there could be different meanings. Or I asked you a question and you haven't responded, and probably I'm communicating that till you respond, I'm not going to go any further. And again, I'm showing that kind of displeasure, because you are not responding. So this is what I want us to understand. So it's not just exchange of ideas in a deliberate or a planned manner, but it could also be just something which you do not even speak, do not even show gestures. I'm just standing still, I say. So any behavior, And so my next question is, before we go on to the second definition there, would this be conscious or unconscious or both? When I say conscious, you deliberately plan to do something. Unconscious, spontaneously it happens. You don't have to plan, you haven't planned it. Or is it both? When we say any behavior.
It's both.
It is both, for sure. Yeah, it is both. That is why we have to be careful. You know, if you grow up in families, you would have known sometimes our elders, our parents, grandparents, uncles, granduncles would have said, don't do this, don't stand like this, don't smile, don't wear this kind of clothes. You know, for example, depending on their outlook to life. So many instructions must have been given in our own homes. Many times they are not explained. You know, but why do you think such explanations or instructions are given? Because unconsciously you may give out some message to somebody, right? If you pass by and if you smile at a stranger, what happens? Again, it is gender specific. A boy smiling at a girl or a girl smiling at a boy, not known to each other, a boy might get some ideas, right? That might come to a conclusion, oh, this girl is interested in me, making friendship or going beyond. Yes, no? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, you know, so you might have smiled at something else or even not even looking at that person. But then the problem is it has resulted in an exchange of meaning. Already, it is unconscious. You didn't plan it. You didn't look at somebody and smile, but in a public place you smile. But so somebody else looked at you and said you smiled at him or smiled at her, and there began a meaning. So what does that show us? When we say any behavior that results in exchange of meaning over which you do not even have control, that means what? We have to be very careful in our words, in our actions, in our gestures, because somewhere to someone that we could probably convey a meaning. So we have to be conscious of that, be aware. You know, so for example, when you go for an interview, they say you have to be formally dressed. You will have to, because it's a first impression. Why do you think so? What happens if you go in a jeans and a t-shirt? Ultimately, your performance is going to count. But I don't think anybody would hire you if you do that on your day one, especially when you face an interview. You know, because there are certain norms, certain things we associate with clothes and with the way we appear, the way we, you know, do things. Okay, we will come back to it and talk about it later if there is time. So remember, its communication is not always using words, and also it is not always conscious. Unconsciously, that is where misunderstanding takes place, right? People misunderstand us. They think we communicated this, whereas we haven't. Any behavior that results in, and also it depends on the context again. You know, the next one, the act of making one's ideas, opinions known to others. What is the difference between 1 and 2 here? There we said any behavior, but here there is one more definition. I want you to look at all in totality as a whole thing. Now here it says the act of making one's ideas and opinion known to others. This is what some of you mentioned right at the beginning. You know, exchange of ideas, interaction. So when you say the act of, it is more or less conscious. You decide to speak when I ask a question. You decide to write an answer when a question paper is given. So you are making it known to others. So there may not be much of unconscious thing, though there could happen, but then you are deliberately doing it, making one's ideas and opinions known to others. In the earlier one, you are not making that effort to make it known to others, but you are doing something, somebody watches you and comes to a conclusion. You know, many times in the classroom it happens. You talk to somebody who is sitting next to you, a teacher who is new to the class, or, doesn't know you much, probably will think you are so indisciplined, you are disobedient, you are not, paying attention, you are rebellious. So many meanings could come out of it, because it's any behavior and you didn't intend to do it, but it so happened. So what you need to do, you have to control your behavior in order to, show a positive opinion of yourself. Okay, the second one, that's why I underline act. You are doing something to make somebody understand. That's what I am doing right now. There could be something that may result in exchange of meaning in the process, but more or less, I have come with a plan. I have put all these on the slide and I'm talking to you in order to make you understand something. So that is also communication. Okay, the third one. It says sum of all things one person does. Is it not, interesting here? What do you mean by that?
मम्मी का फोन मेरे
I'm sorry about that. Yeah. What do you mean by sum of all things one person does?
Sir, it is
All
not
things
only
here can
talking,
be
your
body language.
Whatever you do, right from the time
Yes, sir.
you are there, whatever you do, sum of all things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of another. So I may modify it, drop the later part of it. I'll just stick to sum of all things one person does. What does that mean? It includes your waking up, your sleeping time, and you still communicate. If you sleep till morning 10 o'clock, do you communicate something?
No, sir, I cannot communicate.
You cannot?
Sir, you're lazy.
Sorry, say that.
You're lazy, you are a sleepy person.
Yes, you are a lazy person. You didn't, you didn't get up in the morning to do. You have already communicated. You just go and you want to meet somebody. You go to that person's house. It's well past breakfast time. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And again, it depends on the situation. And it could be that even a person is sick, so he didn't get up in the morning. So that's why I said it is contextual. You would understand. But if somebody is in the habit of sleeping like this, you may not be even lazy. You might probably think in the given context, this person worked through the night. So he's sleeping now. So yeah.
By being lazy, sir, we will not be able to communicate, sir, properly.
I didn't get you. Sorry, say that again.
By being lazy, we will not be able to communicate properly, sir.
No, what are we saying? We are talking about whatever you do, such things send out some information, some meaning to people. So if one of your friends come and see you sleeping in morning 10 o'clock, probably he will think what? You are lazy, that's why you are sleeping.
Yes, sir.
Or he might think you are not well. Some meaning is given out. That's what I'm trying to say. So whatever we do, we really communicate. So all these definitions and many more, there are many more definitions. I'm not going into all of them. I want to make just one point clear. Whatever we do, we somehow communicate something to somebody. It may be deliberate, it may not be deliberate. In other words, it's not a planned one, but still we communicate something. That is where you have to be careful. When you are careful, why should you be careful? So that you would have a controlled thing. You would be able to control what you are sending out. Otherwise, people left, right, that's why I told you in the beginning. especially our elders in our families and also our teachers would probably keep telling us, do this, don't do this, don't do this. Why? Because you would be seen as someone else, where you are not that. So please remember these. I'll share this in the Moodle after the class is over. So you don't have to worry about capturing every word or whatever it is. So you can go through it, and along with some other material, some links to video as well. So I'm sure you would be. It's a very vast subject. Talking about it in an hour or 20 minutes time, it's not going to help us. But I just want to lay that foundation so that we all begin to, because usually what happens when we say communication, usually people attribute it to their writing skills or speaking skills. Even, number of institutions, sometimes they advertise for a communication skills program. People pay a lot of money to study. What do they teach? They generally teach the words, vocabulary, pronunciation, how to make sentences, or maybe some practice sessions on speaking.
Even grammar also, sir.
Writing, yes. So those are the things. So all these things may not help us, but we need to understand communication is beyond this. Even the way you are appearing today on video would have communicated many things to many of us. Whether you are serious, whether you just got up or jumped out of your bed, whether you are fresh and you didn't sleep properly, all those things. Many times you hide behind those videos in the virtual class. So we do understand what could be the problem. And so you cannot blame people for that, right? You cannot just blame somebody, why somebody thought of me like this. It could be because I appeared like that, or I said something, or so it can be anything. So I want us to understand communication is just looking beyond those words, grammar, vocabulary, sentence structures, and so on. It's much more than that. It is a sum of all things one person does. Basically, it is a reflection of your personality. Any questions at this stage before I move on? We are just at the basics, trying to understand what is communication so that we would be able to do it well in order to succeed. Okay. Okay, now I also want to talk about effective communication, because that's when you could be successful. We just try to understand what communication is all about. I would request all of you to keep your mics muted, please, because there is some disturbance, and whenever you are speaking, you can unmute and then mute yourself. That way we would avoid all the technical difficulties. Okay. Okay. Now, it's not enough to communicate. We also need to communicate in an effective manner. And so it is an important thing for all of us in life. That's what point number 1 says. Now, point number 2 says what? I have underlined again. What you communicate is not that important. That could be important, but also how you communicate. Does that make sense to you? What is your understanding of this particular sentence? Can I hear, can you rephrase it so that I would know whether we all got the meaning?
Yes, sir. The information what we communicate is not that important. The way we present it, our voice tonality, and the way we make others understand it matters.
Okay, that is also important. How we do it is also important, not just the what. What is the matter, but how it is. See, today I am talking to you about communication and communicating to success. So I am following a particular method of talking to you, interacting with you. I began with the kind of ice-breaking session so that we would feel little at ease to talk to each other. And I have made these slides. And so this is how I'm communicating. But some other teacher, some other facilitator may do it in different ways. So it depends. And do you think if I were to speak to say, for example, now you are all in your undergraduate degree, the first year of it. Suppose I were to talk about on the same topic to say class 4 or 5 students. Do you think I would be using the same slides and same language?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No. Why should I not?
Sir,
Because their way of understanding things is different than us.
Yes, absolutely. So I need to adapt, change to make that. Takes me to the next point. You know, the receiver interprets the message exactly the same way the sender intended it. Sender, the key word is intention. Why do I say this? Often there is problem between synchronizing what is in my mind, that is intention, and what I speak or what I show. You know, somehow there is no synchronization there. Then there is a misunderstanding. I have something in mind. I said something because my choice of words is probably wrong. So I could have used better words. So you understood it differently. So it is not only important for us to communicate the matter, and how you communicate is depending on your ability and your situation, your target audience, and so on. And also make sure all of us, today I'm talking to you, it is my responsibility equally as it is yours as well. I would come back to that, to make you understand what I mean exactly in my mind. And if I have done that, my job is done. Effective communication has taken place. Let me give an example, couple of illustrations. You know, all of you are familiar with the examination system. End of a semester, end of a year, in the school year, or wherever, whatever system you studied, you would have taken examination. So there is a question paper and you begin to write the answers, and then you think you have done very well. You tell your parents, friends that you have done well. You are expecting such and such grade, which is a high grade. And then when the results come, there is a problem. It was not to your expectation. How many of you identify with that kind of situation? Many times, you know, we think we have done well, and then when the results come, it's not up to you. You're not so happy.
yeah, twice I identified, sir.
Yes, I'm sure all of us would have had similar experiences sometime or other. Now, the problem is what? You had everything in your mind, the theory, the part that you wanted to write. When you started writing, probably you didn't choose proper sentence structures, proper words, and you didn't communicate or you didn't convey it properly to the understanding of the receiver, in this case, the evaluator, a teacher who evaluates your paper. I wish probably you think I were to stand there and explain, I would have got more marks. Teacher or sir, madam, I didn't mean this way. I meant this when I wrote this. You know how good it would be. Imagine for a moment, not only send the paper, when a teacher evaluates your paper, he or she calls you, makes you stand by her side or his side and ask you, and you go on explaining what I meant by this sentence, what I meant by this answer. I'm sure teacher will have a better understanding, you will get more marks. But none of us have that privilege of standing with the teacher to explain when a paper is evaluated. We don't even know who evaluates your paper. So we end up probably getting, I'm just using an example. I'm not saying this happens all the time, but this would have happened sometime or other. Because though you thought what you had as an answer in your mind is exactly correct, but somewhere in your choice of words, the way you communicated, it didn't communicate properly or it didn't convey what you intended. So this is where the problem could be. Now, let me also give a couple of more illustrations too, because this is more important. Once you understand, you will do, whether it's exam system, whether it is talking to somebody in the family, friends, or even teachers, everything can be sorted out with, you know, with some effort from your side. So now, let's imagine it's early morning time and all of us are familiar in city those of us, and most of us live in the cities, the apartments, culture, and many times we know people by face who live in our community, in our apartment, but we
Yes,
don't know
sir.
them so closely. So let's imagine this morning you go out and probably to fetch a packet of milk from a nearby milk booth, and on the way you see somebody who lives in your same block, and you don't know this person so much, but then you show out of courtesy, politeness, you wave at the person and you smile and say good morning, or you just say hi if it's a person of your age and generation, and probably you say hi and just a smile, and you don't say anything else, and you just pass by. What all you did, you just looked at the person and you looked at the person and you said hi, and with a smile. And what do you think the other person understood? What did you communicate? What did the other person understood? It's a very familiar situation. Many times we wave at somebody, we smile, we go away, we don't talk. But the person felt happy. The other person who received it felt happy. I'm just creating a situation for you. So what do you think you wanted to communicate? What do you think he understood?
We feel that your presence is being known to others. People know that you exist.
Okay, you acknowledge the presence of this person. Okay, so we all feel good, right? Sometimes when we are ignored, we feel so bad. Somebody known to us, not known to us, not so known to us, walk past by, not smiling, not waving. We all feel bad, right? Don't we? Yes, no? Yes. Okay, that's a good interpretation. Anything else? I said this is early morning. You're going to fetch milk.
Yeah, it shows them we are giving some respect and we are greeting them.
Whoever is speaking, your voice is not clear. It's breaking. Yeah.
Sir, it shows that we are showing them some respect and we are greeting them.
Okay, showing some respect. Okay, if he's an elderly person, a senior person, okay, respect. Anything else?
And we are greeting them.
You are?
We are greeting them, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that is what already someone said, acknowledging. What else? What do you think we do? Why do we say hi? Why do we smile?
Sir,
Why should I smile? Yeah, go ahead. Whoever's trying to speak.
Sir, he want to communicate more.
Communicate?
He want to communicate with him more.
How do you know that?
By smiling.
Okay, by smiling. See, by smiling, you also, okay. See, so many things. It's just the word hi and a smile. Nothing else was there. But you would have wanted to communicate, I'm so glad to meet you. You know, that's why you smiled. Otherwise, you would not have smiled. I'm glad that I met you, not somebody else, not some other neighbor whom you don't like probably. Right? It could be different meanings. I'm so glad early in the morning, you are the first person I see you. And I'm so grateful that I saw you. My day is going to be good because you smiled. And probably you say the weather is good and it's not a lousy weather. It's a pleasant weather. I'm so glad this morning, this weather is good, situation is good. So many meanings could have been there in that just simple expression of hi and the smile. You know, imagine if somebody said hi and without any smile, with a rough voice and with that tone, you would have said, why did I meet this person? You know, so it can evoke. So when we say receiver interprets, now you said because it's a pleasant day, I am so glad to see you this morning. This was your intention. If the receiver also understood it that same way, because he or she also said, hi, good morning, whatever, understood it, your job is done. Effective communication has taken place. You know, this is an everyday life situation. So if we can be so effective in this, we could also be effective in our formal communication, whether it's writing an exam answer or doing something else formally. Many times we forget that principle of being effective. Being effective doesn't mean, number of words, number of expression, not necessarily. As I said, simple expression of hi and smile could communicate so much of meaning, right? So I want you to think on those things. And we are always effective. Most of the time we are effective. But when it comes to exam situation, a formal situation, we forget that principle. Why do I say this? When suppose in your neighborhood or in your family, there is a little child of, let's say, 2-year-old child. How do you talk to that child? What do you do when you look at the child?
So your facial expressions matter. So you smile at the child, then you speak to them with energy, and your tone of your voice should be like energetic in comparison to when you speak to a different person.
Can I have a demo of how do you do it instead of explaining? When you look at a child of 2-year-old, and what do you do? How do you talk? What do you talk?
Sir, we go like, hey, hi, how are you? How is everything? Like,
Oh, do you say that?
Yeah,
to a little child of 2 years?
We play with them.
How do you play?
Sir, first and foremost thing, when I'll see the old child, I'll make him to play, sir.
Should we be giving a demo?
Sorry?
Should we be giving a demo?
Yes, please, if you can.
Okay, we'll probably go like, hi, nice outfit. You look really nice today. Like, you would compliment a child and you try to make him laugh.
Okay, that's maybe to a 5 or 6-year-old, the way you are saying.
Yeah,
Imagine
I
a
think
2-year-old.
With a two-year-old, you'll most likely go for signals and physical communication, like a high five or a handshake, which they would
Yes,
understand.
that's right. High five, handshake.
Sir, shall I say, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
The first and foremost thing, when I meet a 2 years child, first I'll make him to play, sir.
Yeah.
How would a 2-year-old know how to play?
Maybe all types of
No,
voices.
what
you
we
will
do
make.
is, we probably give a high five. We try to touch the child and, we say hi, oh, or we make sounds like that little child, right? Don't we? If you say hi, how are you, all that, the child will run away. Next time the child sees your face, would not even come anywhere close.
Yeah, he will not
We
come.
all know that. When you look at a child, we don't even use language. We say the para language, as they say, oh, and we make, oh, that kind of sound we make, and we try to, clap hands, or we just try running like a child, imitate the child, right? That's what we do.
Sir, 2 years children still don't know how to talk very fluently.
Okay, that part we will talk some other time. And this is just to illustrate my point. All of us know when it comes to a little child, how we should communicate. Nobody taught us. We just become like a child, in other words, in order to be effective. Why do we do that? The child, next time she or he sees you, he or she feels like playing with you, because it identifies, because you identified completely with that a little child in mannerism, in way of expression. That is what effective communication is all about. You try adapting to techniques and styles that are needed to the context, to the people who are receivers, and then all of us could be successful. Whether it's an exam paper, you can stretch that image to anything to show that. Okay. Let's go quickly. Let me see whether my PowerPoint is still there. Okay, I think there is some problem with the PowerPoint application. Let me try closing it and opening it. Am I audible? Am I on the call?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
great, because
Yeah.
I don't see anything on my screen.
Yes, sir, you're on the call.
Yeah, I'm trying to close the application and then open again. Let's see. Just give me a second. Okay, so as it opens, let's continue to talk. So effective communication is about your choice of actions, your words, and trying to make other person understand. You know, to a great extent, it is somebody talked about sender and the receiver at the beginning. And the sender has a greater responsibility in choosing the correct medium, choosing the correct words, and so on. Similarly, the receiver also will have a responsibility. So when we are at a point of agreement, effective communication can take place. You know, this is based on norms as well. When I say norms, it is about the established customs or established ways of communicating. For example, how an exam should be written. All that is part of the system. So that is what is effective communication is all about. Now the communication quickly, we do not have much time, and we'll just see whether I can share the screen again. Seems to be some problem with the sharing. Okay, let's see one more time. Yeah, there comes the screen. Is it there on your screens?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, we generally talk about non-verbal and verbal. You will be surprised to know here verbal is just using words. We all know that is through speech, through writing. Whenever you use words, we call it verbal. The other one is non-verbal. It says paralanguage. Just now I talked about it. Paralanguage is the expressions oh, and not only when you speak to a child. Suppose something hurts you, something falls on your foot right now. You don't think and what words should I use? What language should I use? Your instant reaction will be or ouch, and that kind of, you know, these are paralanguage. They are not spelt and they are not, you know, structured properly. Gestures, hand gestures, and voice, body, physical appearance, dress, color, sound, picture, and so many others. These are all non-verbal. You know, according to the experts, or if you were to think, communication is 100%, verbal is only about 33%, and non-verbal is 67%. And non-verbal, I have listed out most of the important things there. Many times when we think of communication, we think of only words and sentences, as I said, but that is only 33%. The rest of the 67% is to do with you, the way you use your body to your advantage or to your disadvantage. It's left to you. Voice requires modulation, you know, high rise, low tone, and so on. Your body, physical appearance, including dress, color. You know, for example, if I were to appear in your class, let's imagine I have a spangled trousers. I'm sure you know what is spangle. Spangle is the mirror works that are attached to the dress. how would you feel? What would you think of me if I were to come into your class with my trousers with full of spangles, those mirror works? What would be your instant reaction?
I think you're an interesting person. That's why.
Oh, that's interesting. No, but I would not dare to do that.
Maybe it is your birthday.
Yeah,
Well,
but daring
do I
to
wear
that
as a
shows
man?
that
Do I
you're
wear
interesting
spangled
mindset, doesn't it?
dress? Do men wear or boys wear spangled dress with mirror works and various color patterns? Usually that's a domain of the ladies and the girls. And a man doesn't wear a spangled trouser or a shirt with mirror works and so on. Unless I'm a pop singer or somebody like that, want to be different. Say, for example, I don't know how many of you would know Michael Jackson of the earlier years. So he would appear, or various other, singers and entertainers could appear. But we don't do that unless I'm an entertainer. So it's so that the dress, the color, all these also convey so much. That's why I said in an earlier part of this session, for an interview, you are expected to appear in a particular way. And the way you go for an interview, you cannot go for a party or to a marriage, for example, celebration. People will look at you funnily if you go like that, right? So we all know how to dress up for a party, for a marriage celebration, or for an interview or a formal situation. So all these are important. So we may not go into great details right now, but then these are interesting studies. You can Google and see about nonverbal communication. Body language can be a separate study. That conveys so much. So I also want you to be aware. I said, this session is basically about creating awareness so that you will begin to work on these areas. Verbal is 33. You are so good with words, writing, speaking. So what is your success percentage? At the most, even if you are, if you get the absolute, all that you would get is 33. That's it. What about 67% of your non-verbal part of it? They go hand in hand. And no one teaches, generally speaking, non-verbal communication to the extent that we teach verbal communication. Yeah. And even verbal, I want you to, I don't know, some of you probably be familiar with LSRW skills. They are called listening, speaking, reading, writing. And even if you classify verbal as 100%, that 33% equals to 100%, this is how the importance is. But do we follow this pattern? What is the primary thing in verbal communication?
Speaking.
Listening, right?
Yes, sir.
That should, in order to be successful, we should listen most of the time. That is 48% of the time. That gives an indication. It's not that we divide our time at 24 hours, so 48, percent of 24 hours, I'll only listen, I won't speak. It doesn't happen that way. It happens all the time, overlapping, where as I speak, I listen to you. As you listen, you can speak to me. And probably some of you would read something, or you may be writing notes. So all these are possible. But then it shows the importance. If you were to succeed in verbal communication, most of your attempts, most of your energy should be focused on listening. And we are all poor listeners. We are so eager to speak. We want everybody to listen, but we won't listen that much. That's why teachers would tell you in the class right from the beginning, listen, listen, stop talking, right? Parents would tell you, listen before you speak, but we are so quick to speak. Okay, listening, then speaking is only 26, reading is 15, writing is 11. Now let's imagine you will all graduate in 3 years' time and get a degree, and you got very good scores, high ranks and high grades. And often when the placement, for placement, people come, recruiters come to the campus, they look for certain marks, and then they tell us, your students are not that good. We could not select so many of them. Maybe 1 or 2 get selected. What is the problem? You have good marks, you have written well, you have good grades, you have good speaking ability. The problem is this, let's imagine you got 90% on your average or CGPA or whatever, 9+ you got at the end of your 6 semesters. What does it show? You have mastered these 11% of writing, because all of your exam is mostly on writing. So in that 11% you excel. What about reading? Nobody conducted a reading test for you. But then when you go out into the corporate world, into the world, you need reading. Speaking, probably most of you are good in speaking, in conversation. But can you make a formal speech? May not be. Listening, we are all bad. So I want you to keep these figures in mind, so work on it. I'm not going into the details. As I said, these could be a different separate sessions, each of them. Listening could be a separate session. But then I want to focus on these areas so that you take interest, you work on it. There are so many videos, free videos available. There are also there are a number of free courses these days available on MOOC. Maybe some of your teachers would talk about it sometime later. And you can do anything that you want these days without spending much money. Many of those things are available online free of cost. So keep this in mind. So when you excel, at the most in the classroom, you listen and then you come back and write. Or you may not, most of you may not listen, and you would probably read just before the exam and finish this off. So, so whatever scores you get relates to these abilities, reading and writing abilities. If you score well, that's what it shows. It doesn't talk about non-verbal communication at all. Your marks memos do not suggest anything. Okay, very quickly, non-verbal communication. Not going to read, but it's there for you to read. Why did I put this the I? In one of the images, you will find that I had, consciously, these images are very suggestive. It's like a face. You see this image where in the ear there is an eye. So what does that signify to you?
Active listening.
Sorry?
Active listening.
Yeah, what is it? Why is that the image of an eye in the ear? What does it denote?
Keep your ears always open.
Okay, you not only listen with your ears, you listen with your eyes. How do you listen with your eyes?
How?
You will have to look at the person who is talking to you for body
Observation.
language, for facial expression, for mannerism, in order to get a complete meaning. That is why teachers would stand in the front of the class. Why can't they stand at the back of the class, face the wall, and deliver the lecture? Because students need to look at them and teachers need to look at you. So it's not enough. That is why many times we tell you, switch on your cameras even in the changed pandemic situation, so that, sometimes we could have a, glimpse of you. And I could already see some of you smiling, some of you probably pretending to listen, some of you, at least couple of you, are doing something else. And I could understand all that because your cameras are on. I don't want to name anybody, but then that is how it is. So we need to look at people in order to, and you also know it. That's why most of the time you would switch off your camera, so that on a virtual room like this, teachers would not see you and you would continue doing what you want. Okay, it's not to find fault, but that's a way of life for all of us. Okay, non-verbal communication, all these are included. Quickly, I want to move on. Color. How do you think colors express something? Quick.
Red color, danger.
Sorry? Red color?
Red color, it represents danger.
Okay.
And blue represents calmness. So they have those on airplanes, I think.
Okay. No, okay. These are all interpretations or meanings attached to colors. I'm not talking about it. Yes, these are true. We know what to do, what colors to wear for a joyous occasion, what to wear for a sad situation and things like that. Yeah, I'm not getting into this, but in our day-to-day life, can I get some examples of colors communicating something?
On a funeral, people wear black.
Yes, funeral in the West, people wear black. But if you see in the, especially in the north part of India, people wear white for a funeral, right?
Yes,
so it
sir.
depends on the culture, it depends on the background, the context, okay?
Especially
no, but I'm talking about our everyday life. Do colors mean something to us? Give me everyday examples. Don't talk about the significance of colors. That we all know that.
Enthusiasm, positiveness.
No, I want everyday real life examples.
Traffic signal.
Wake up when you walk on the streets, when you travel, and
Traffic
do
signal.
colors signify something somewhere?
So, sir, are you
good.
talking about
Oh,
just
traffic
clothing or
signals.
other than clothing? Like, you're talking about colors in general.
Colors or colors?
The traffic signals.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. Who said that?
Okay.
Very good. Traffic signals. Imagine for a moment these traffic signals, we do not understand those red, amber and green. What would happen to our lives? Even with signal in Hyderabad, we do have problems, right? People will, if a cop is not there, people just go past this red signal. So colors, in everyday life, they play a major role. For example, the cooking gas LPG, which color do they appear? The cylinder or
Red
the
color.
pipes that carry LPG. These are universal. Wherever, whatever part of the world you go to, whatever time of the century you live in, these are universal because you don't have to read anything and understand. Instantly they give you. Yeah. What color is LPG cylinder?
Red color. It is red in color.
Red
sir.
color. Have you ever seen LPG cylinder in some other color? Or the
Yes, sir.
tubes, the pipes that carry in apartments cooking gas, always red.
Red
And
only,
what
sir.
about oxygen?
I didn't. Oxygen.
What kind of colored pipes or cylinders in
Blue.
hospitals?
Sir,
Blue,
black.
sir.
Sorry?
Black or maybe blue.
Have you not seen oxygen cylinders? Yeah, usually it's
Silver.
black because the paint has gone. At least one part you will find. It's a long cylindrical shape cylinder, right? Unlike the cooking gas cylinder. They are white.
Sir,
Even the tubes that carry oxygen in hospitals, you will find in white.
Sir.
Why is that so?
Oxygen cylinder in COVID-19 second wave, sir. They
Yeah,
were
you
blue.
would have seen it's all in white color. The point is the white color, so that a technician doesn't come and fix LPG gas to a patient who is dying, who wants oxygen. So it is all universal. Colors give a lot of meaning and significance to our lives. The way you wear your dress, the different colors you wear, you show what kind of person you are. You are flamboyant, you are reserved. Consciously, unconsciously, all of us do not prefer all colors, right? So people will know, they judge you. Remember that. Pictures convey so much more than words. Signs and signals. See, it could be a combination of color and signs and signals. At one go, the skull and the crossbone would tell you there is danger. Whether you know the language, whatever part of the world you may land in, you will find these symbols. Dress conveys so much. The way the particular dress would convey what kind of person you are, whether you are formal, informal, whether you are outgoing, you are fun-loving, whether it could also show your economic status. The label of the dress. Why do you think all these manufacturers put the label outside, not inside? Most of the time they have symbols. If it's men's dress, you will find some symbol on the cuff, right? Or on the pocket, or ladies' dress also, you will find those labels. So because people value on the dress, otherwise it should not be outside.
Sir, generally
earlier times all those symbols would be inside, but you would find these logos and the other things outside because dress could also be a part of your status statement. It could show economic condition of yours and so many other things. Similarly, body language, expression, we all know that. So I'm not going into the detail. The point here is these all constitute 67% of your success. So we need to work on all these things, areas of your, including your hairstyle and, you know, so many other things that we do. We project ourselves. What do you want to project yourself as depends on you, you know. So all these things make communication a success. I have this, but then I don't know. Okay, we'll do this exercise quickly and then we'll see. It's just a picture, a scanned picture of a man without his head being shown. What do you understand? Very quickly, can you interpret what is your impression of this man?
Sir, he drinks.
He drinks. Okay, great.
Probably some officer.
Probably some
Officer.
officer. Okay, what makes you think he's an officer?
Sir, his way of dressing.
Way of dressing. Does an officer dress like this? It seems to be
No,
like tight
it seems
jeans
like a
and
formal dress.
no, informal dress. And this scan picture is not very clear. In his forearm, there is a tattoo of an eagle, if I remember right. And
Sir, I'm thinking that he's postman.
what makes you think he's a postman? Why would he carry a bottle?
Seeing his dress color, I'm thinking like that, sir.
No, let's quick. You know, yeah, you said he could be drinking regularly. That's fine. Anything else that suggests? Go ahead. Nothing right, wrong. Please go ahead. Quick.
He's unhealthy. He doesn't go to the gym.
He's healthy or unhealthy?
Unhealthy.
Why? What makes you think so?
He's fat.
He's fat, okay, but does he not look very strong and, you know, very strong arms, and look at his fingers and the hand?
Sir, maybe a bodybuilder.
Bodybuilder, okay, that goes along with that image that is shown, because muscles are all strong. Nowhere we could understand he's unhealthy.
Fingers are also very big, sir.
Okay, so what kind of work he should be doing? Because his fingers are so rigid and strong and very rough. So what do you think? He may not be an officer sitting at the table. He must be somebody who is working hard. Physical work.
Mechanic.
Oh, mechanic. What makes you think he's a mechanic? That's right.
So the car, the behind.
Yeah, the car behind, the tires and various things are strewn around. Probably he's standing in a garage. So he could be a mechanic or owner of the garage.
Is he Ronnie Coleman?
Yeah. Sorry?
Is he Ronnie Coleman?
No. I'm not asking you to guess the names. Just the impressions of this man, whoever, nameless person. Okay, somebody said he's drinking, he's a bodybuilder, he's a he involves himself with physical work because he's standing in a garage. You see a car, you see a tire, you see so many things.
Sir, I think so. He's a mechanic.
Yeah, somebody already said that. And now look at his shirt pocket. Something is bulging. What do you think is there? Look at his shirt pocket where I have the cursor, right? Something is bulging. What do you think he has?
The cigarette.
Cigarette. Oh, that's great. Why do you think he smokes? What makes you think he
already
smokes?
has a
Because you have
bottle.
not seen his face. You've not seen his lips even to know that he smokes.
He already carries a bottle in his hand.
Oh, he's holding a bottle. So if you drink, you should also be a smoker.
Not like that.
No,
Yeah, that's like that. That's how it is.
He has a tattoo. He drinks, and that little box looks like a matchbox.
Oh, that's right. That's right. All of you are right. Yes, we are going in the right direction. Yeah, we could have so many other things. I want to, not prolong with this because we are short of time. And the point here is, see, we already assumed he's a drinker. Because he's a drinker, we assume that he's holding a matchbox or a cigarette or a lighter in his shirt
Is it-
pocket, which is rightly so.
He's a
Otherwise,
drunkard
you
only,
would
sir.
not have thought of it. Minus this bottle, none of you would have guessed that it is a lighter or a matchbox. And because he has a tattoo, as Abdul Wahab rightly said, because he has a tattoo, he has that image of being drinking and smoking, and at the same time indulging in or working and physically building his body and everything. So it goes on to make an image. So now just think with me for a moment. We looked at a picture, a lifeless picture, not even face is shown to you, because face is supposed to be expressive. I have not shown the face deliberately, but we came to so much of conclusion about this poor man. He may not be drinking, he may not be smoking even, but then we all concluded to a great extent, this is what he must be doing. Because the way he holds the bottle, he shows he must be a regular drinker. So casually he is holding to that. Everything will show. You remember in the first slide, I said all that the sum of all that we do communicates. This is what it is all about. Now think with me for a moment. What would people think of you? They see you a live person, not a picture, not even a whole picture. You are live in front of people. So people will come to number of conclusions about you, rightly or wrongly. If you also appear like this, people will, you may not be drinking, you may be a teetotaler, but still you hold the bottle and stand somewhere and tell the whole world you never touched alcohol. People will not trust you or believe you, right? And people will not believe that it is not a matchbox till you show them. Because you are doing this, this is a natural follow-up of what he is doing. See, this is how, this is just to illustrate a point. People would constantly look at us and make judgments in their minds. Oh, he must be mischievous. He must be studious. He must be intelligent. He must be this. She must be this. Can we blame people? Who is to be blamed? We ourselves ought to be blamed. If people have a wrong opinion of ourselves, looking at us, our behavior, our attitude, or even, see, from a lifeless picture without even a face, we derived so much of meaning. How much more people would look at your live face and derive meaning? It happens unconsciously. It happens unconsciously. They don't look at your face and write notes, or none of us do that. Looking at this, I have formed opinion of many of you who are on this call, looking at your faces even as I was talking. To a great extent, I could be right. Somewhere I could be wrong. Similarly, you also listening to me, looking at me on this call, you would have thought of me of so many things. Yes, right or wrong. All those things are part of our human experience. So when I say communicating successfully, it is not about learning to write words. These are all important, but I also told you that is only the 33% of it. All your listening, speaking, reading, writing abilities. What about that roughly the 67% of it, which is the person who I am? So that part also from day one, you need to take care. While you take care of that, you would also take care of this. They go hand in hand. And let me again illustrate. When you speak a lie, or even let's imagine a little child running home. Parents have said you should be at home after play by 5 o'clock home. The child comes little late. Mother stops at the door, familiar scene to most of us. And child will try to say something, maybe a lie. How does it do? It will not make eye contact. It will not look at mother's face. It will try to laugh. It will try to say something or cry or do something, distract the parent, and try to give some stories. And all of you who have grown up, sometimes you do some things which are not, the approval of your parents and elders. What do? You will probably take, when you enter home, you will take a back door. You will avoid meeting people, because somebody will be sitting there, they'll talk to you. You don't even want to talk. It's not that they will question you, but when you have done something wrong, what do? You try to hide yourself, you try to go somewhere and, take a different path. We try avoiding meeting even people at such point of time. And people would know for sure that you are lying if you meet them. Why? Because they trust your non-verbal cues or whatever they see on your face, on your body, much more than the spoken words. That is the fact of life. You should always be clear. So what am I trying to say? It's not enough to tell your teacher, tell your parent, I'm sincere, I will do this, I will do this. You have to also prove by demonstrating in your appearance, in your everyday walk. When I say walk, it's not just walk in everyday life. People need to know that you are studious, for example. You are intelligent, you are diligent, you are this, you are that, hardworking. It's not enough to write and send a message saying I'm hardworking. Nobody will believe those words till they see you really work hard. So this is what communication is all about. It's a sum of a whole of our being. So don't ever think that by studying some books, by doing something, yes, we acquire knowledge, we do everything, but then it's an overall improvement. And if I reiterate this point so that at the beginning of your graduation study here, you will begin to understand how important it's for you to focus on all these elements. See, individually, I may not know you, who is good at what. It's up to you. It's up to you to show what kind of image you want to project, what kind of, attitude you want to project. It's all up to you. It's all in your hands. That is when you would be successful. You would not have any regrets. So that is what this thing is all about. And as I said, it's a very vast subject, and you can connect with me individually if you want, or you can mail me. I would also leave my email ID, or when you are physically in the class here, you're most welcome. Though I am not part of the department, but you could always connect with me if you think you want to chat up, you want to catch up on something. But before I take leave, any questions or anything that you would like to add? A couple of minutes, or we can take a few minutes. Did it make sense, all that we spoke this morning?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It makes sense.
Yeah, it would also make greater sense provided you try implementing some of these things in your life consciously. Your posture, your gestures, and some of these could be negative. So you need to change it in order to project a very positive image, communicate. And that's when, success would be easier. Success is never, it doesn't just come like that. It's a lot of hard work that includes improving our own image of who we are and what we are. So remember, it's not what that matters that much, but how matters equally as well. So that is an important element that includes projection of yourself. That's a conscious act. It doesn't just happen. For some, it could happen, but then many of those things are learned. I'm glad that these things can be learned over a period of time. Okay, if there are no questions, I would turn it over to Payal ma'am for her remarks, or whatever way she wants to end it. Thank you so much for thank the department for having me here.
Thank you, sir.
All of you for being part of this.
Great session.
Yeah, most welcome. It was such a pleasure
Thank
being
you, sir.
with
Thank you, sir. Great session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Joseph, sir. Throughout the session, we were intact to more than words, the way you have conveyed the meaning of how communication is most important thing for success. We have imbibed it in our day-to-day life, and now we will keep this thing in our mind throughout the way till we get to our goals. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay, everyone, will meet tomorrow with another interesting session. And till then, sir, any assignment for the students, sir?
I didn't think of any assignment.
Okay,
Have you been giving assignments for every session?
No, we have not. You don't need to think of an assignment. Thank you very much.
Somebody was so quick. I've shared my email in the chat box. So if you want to connect or you want to say something, we could connect. So my email is there on the chat box. Yeah, somebody was so, who is that? Wajiha was quick to say there is no assignment. So we will not have any assignment.
Okay, so we'll end it here, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, everyone, for your undivided attention, and we'll meet tomorrow again. Yeah, bye, everyone.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.